Okay, welcome back. It is week three. No, it's just 373, week three, part one. Welcome back. Um, all right, just going well. Um, I want to start off today by talking about what am I talking about? I want to start off today talking about um, tragedy and just sort of what it is. Um, there's a lot of confusion about tragedy. We basically the problem with tragedy. It's not really a genre that we do in our culture anymore. Um, Tragedy, for starters, it's just a very simple reason is that most stories today are designed to make money, and the best way to make huge. I mean, stories have been designed to make money for a long time, but the kinds of money that stories like film franchises are designed for now is to make maximal amounts of money. They should always make money. Um, Means that and again, they tend to make a lot of money through toys and images on T-shirts and backpacks and that kind of shit. But even stories that don't have those kinds of things are designed to make money, and they also make money by appealing to an international audience, which is why you tend to get more explosions and less dialogue, because dialogue doesn't always translate good, but explosions always translate good. But the way they work is each one ends with an advertisement for the next one. Marvel invented this brilliant idea. I mean, it's brilliant, and it also destroyed the movie industry, I think. But they essentially turned blockbuster movies into a giant 22-part TV show, where the first season of the TV show is 22 movies, um, and has a season finale in Avengers Endgame. And then, of course, they start up with more movies in the next season, and all interconnected and stuff. So essentially, like a giant TV show. But the result is that those post credit sequences are often designed to sell the next movie. Tragedies don't work like that. There is no Hamlet 2. There is no Macbeth 2. There is no Othello 2. There actually is a movie called Hamlet 2. It's not great. I mean, it's funny, but it's not my favorite kind of funny. But it's cute. Got some cute moments. Um, I guess uh, my point with this is that I'm going over here because I'm going to put the lights on over here. So you have to go with me in the dark. Ooh, it's spooky. My point with this, I need a lot of lights on in the house. There we go. My point with this. Oh, look, I look like. Wait, let me get this thing. Can I do the thing? Oh, okay. Oh no, it's not that light. Anyway, I'll find the light later. Oh, I see. When I missed a light. Okay, hold on. My point with this. I need another light. There we go. Okay, now we're cooking. That wasn't even the light. This is the where you go. Where do I have to stand to make this work? Oh, it looks great. Okay, fun. My point is that the tragedy is not designed to sell more stories. It's about the end. Also, it's worth pointing out that the superhero movies let people feel powerful and strong, and tells them they're going to just keep going for just like their favorite movie stars. They will live forever and always date pretty girls who are younger than they are. Tragedy does not tell you that. Tragedy says you're going to fucking die, and nobody wants to hear that. And that's why there are no sequels, because there's no sequels to life. But here's but tragedy, as a result of tragedy not being a genre anybody cares about in modern day society. Um, the result is that's fine. The result is that we do not have a good distinction between tragedy and doom. People do not understand the difference between tragedy and doom. We tend to think of those words as being interchangeable. They're not. They're not the same thing, and I hate to do this because I'm going to go ahead and trash a movie that everybody loved. And I have to say, I did enjoy most of it a lot. And I do think the guy that made the movie is extremely talented, but I hated the movie. And every time I say hate the movie, everybody gets mad at me. But I thought Hereditary fucking sucked. I thought it was a fucking bad movie. And I know, you're like, no, Professor, Hereditary was great. The music was great. The editing was great. The acting was great. I was definitely scared very seriously many times. It doesn't make any sense. And the reason it doesn't make sense is because it does not understand the difference between tragedy and doom. Um, in tragedy, the difference in doom is when some outside force shows up and destroys you and everything. So with doom, it's like a volcano blows up and you get caught in the lava and you die. That's doom. A piano falls on your head. That's doom. Um, even cancer. I guess cancer is a bad example because a lot of people feel like they did something to get cancer, but I think people just get cancer sometimes and die. That's doom. A dragon breathing fire all over you is doom. Tragedy is not caused by an outside force. Tragedy is caused by something in here. In a tragedy, properly understood, tragedy, the reason the characters die is not because of anything that anybody did to them. They die because of who they are. Their personalities, fundamentally who they are is why they die. And my favorite example of this is Hamlet and Othello. And I realize maybe this is a bad example because we're not doing Hamlet or Othello in this class. I'm going to tell you, but students tend to know it, so I'm going to tell you anyway. So Hamlet and Othello are two very Hamlet's story. Just real simple. Hamlet's story is that the ghost of his father shows up and says, "Hey, your uncle the king murdered me. Get revenge." Right? Othello's story is that Iago hates him and tricks him into thinking his wife is cheating on him, and he murders her. These two men are very different. Hamlet is essentially a philosophy nerd. He is like an intellectual. He's a book reading philosophy guy. He is the wrong person to get to avenge your murder because he would rather think about life, the universe, and everything than actually do anything. He's much happier thinking and reading than he is doing actions. He's also like maybe cripplingly depressed. He seems to have a very serious form of bipolar, like the clinical depression that means he's unable to he has trouble getting himself to motivated to do anything because to him the universe just seems like worthless. What's even the point? And it seems so dark in here. I don't know how to fix that. Okay. So the Othello, on the other hand, is a soldier on the battlefield, and he is used to making quick, violent decisions. And as a result, when Iago tricks him into thinking his wife is murdering him, he doesn't really spend a lot of time investigating it or listening to her side of the story. He just murders her at the end of the play. The play is basically Iago ramping him up, and then he kills her, and that's the end of the play. These are tragedies. They're tragedies because Othello ends up killing her, and other people get killed, and then he kills himself because he's too quick to action. Hamlet ends up getting a bunch of people killed because he is too slow to action. He's like he comes up with all these side missions he'd rather do than actually get revenge that he's supposed to, and he gets a ton of people killed. A very famous Shakespeare scholar named Harold Goddard, who's one of my very favorites, made this really funny observation. He said, if you took Othello and Hamlet and swapped them, meaning you put Othello the character in Hamlet the play and Hamlet the character in Othello the play, those plays would be over in 5 minutes. Because if Othello was in Hamlet's position and his ghost dad said, your uncle the king killed me, get revenge, Othello would walk right up to that dude and cut his head off, and the play would be over in 10 minutes. And Hamlet is the only person in literature who could possibly out-talk Iago. Iago would be like, I think your wife is cheating on me, and Hamlet would be like, people are so terrible everywhere. What's the point of doing anything? Everybody sucks. And those plays would be done. Iago would never get Hamlet to do anything. Hamlet would just want to talk to Iago all day until Iago went insane. So what Hereditary screws up, again, great music, great editing, great acting, great camera shots. I really loved a lot of it. I think that guy's going to have a great career if he can fucking figure his shit out. Midsummer was a better story but worse acting. Also, Midsummer's not really a horror movie. I don't know. It's something else. It's like Wicker Man. Anyway. In Hereditary, it's a story about witches. It may remind you of Macbeth in a lot of ways. But the thing is the characters in Hereditary die because witches are making them die. That's doom. That's not tragedy. In fact, it turns out that somebody cast a spell on them to make them make the decisions they are making, and as a result, they are not even really in control of their own actions. I don't know how to explain to you why that's not a story. A story is about characters choosing things, and it feels like most of the characters in that story don't even get choices because they're being manipulated by witches. Now, Macbeth seems like he's being manipulated by witches, but it's really all in him. Those witches never told him to murder anybody. That was his idea. He could have just waited around for Duncan to have a heart attack and taken over as king. They never told him to do that. It's who he is. He can't stop thinking about the future. He's obsessed with manliness, and he wants to prove what a man he is, and he wants to satisfy his wife, and it drives him to do the terrible things and leads to the tragedy. Tragedy is anchored in who he is as a person, and that is the difference between tragedy and doom. I'll see you in the next video.